What is going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere? Welcome. This is, of course, the one, the only Pig Trail Network. I am its creator, Tyzilla83. For those of you who are new here, I just want to say, hey, thank you. Thanks for stopping by, checking out the content. If you would, at the end of the video, like, comment, share the content that you just watched, of course. And if you haven't already, feel free to tap the subscribe button down below. Oh, that's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That hits the lips. It's a little warm. So, Razorback fans still waiting around for who the next defensive coordinator is going to be. A lot of recruits, a lot of prospects also doing the exact same thing. A lot of people just curious what on earth is taking so long. Chavis has been announced, or at least has been rumored to be the next defensive coordinator for the University of Arkansas under Chad Morris for the last, I don't know, since like a week after Chad Morris got hired. I mean, at least it feels like it was around that time. These things can take a little bit of time. You always, I think the last thing you want to do is just rush into hiring the next guy. And, you know, I think that's kind of how you wind up with defensive coordinators like, I don't know, Rob Smith or Willie Robinson, or, you know, the list can kind of go on. Not that Willie Robinson was terrible. Rob Smith, after all, had one great year. But I'm just saying, Chavis, I think, you know, and I have been asked, I've had a couple emails, and I have been asked on social media my thoughts on Chavis, and I've not really gone public with those, but I don't know that any defensive coordinator is going to come in and make Arkansas elite in 1 year. I think the year that Rob Smith did it, which I think was in 2014, you had some fantastic players on that defense that we didn't realize, you know, what we had at the time. And maybe that's the case going into next year. Maybe it's not. I know that, you know, Paul Rhodes, who was the secondary coach 2 years ago, and then he was named the defensive coordinator last year, who I thought, you know, if Brett Bielema were still around, I think had you been able to give Paul Rhodes a little bit of time, he could have molded that defense into something. But, you know, what he said at the beginning of last year was there's no stars. There's no star power. And I think the same, you know, it's not like they've developed over the year. There's no one, you know, you lost Ryan Pulley for the season. Sosa Agim really didn't, and I'm not saying he's not a good player, but he didn't evolve this year. The only player that I really liked what I saw out of quite a bit was Scooter Harris, who I don't know where he finished in tackles in the SEC, but it had to be top 5. I mean, he was in on every single play. His coverage skills even looked pretty good. I thought Dre Greenlaw had moments where he shined. Curl at the beginning of the year, the defensive back, the corner, for those of you who don't know who that is, who was a true freshman, by the way, last year. I thought he had moments where he you know, he looked pretty good, but then towards the end of the year, he you know, quarterbacks and offensive coordinators were able to kind of exploit his youth, and that's exactly what happened, and he got burned a couple of times. Well, more than a couple of times. So whoever the next defense coordinator is, I still believe it's going to be Chavis, you know, for better or for worse. Whoever the next defensive coordinator is, and we talked about this before, they've got a lot to fix. They have a little bit to work with. You know, I do feel like there's potential younger talent. You know, they did redshirt a lot of guys. There's guys who we haven't even thought of in the last couple of seasons, or guys that were redshirted or brought in last year, or guys that still develop. That's the part of college football that some people who only watch pro football, and I know because I've got a couple of friends that only watch pro, they're not really into college, and they talk about this quite a bit. That's the difference between college and pro. Even at the pro level, players are still trying to hone in their talents. They're still trying to figure things out. But for the most part, yeah, you kind of knew what you were getting when you grabbed Ezekiel Elliott, you know, from Ohio State, you know, with the Dallas Cowboys. You knew what you had. You know, his ceiling is very high, and he's already putting up crazy numbers his first couple of years, you know, when he's not suspended. Or Todd Gurley, you know, Jadeveon Clowney. You kind of get it. But with college, you got to bring them in. Sometimes they're projects to begin with, you know, and with Arkansas, that's what they got a lot to deal with. I don't know how many times they've had to mold a safety, like Dre Greenlaw, who played safety at FHS at Fayetteville, and they had to mold him into a linebacker, and they've done a pretty good job. However many linebacker coaches he's had over the last several seasons, he's done a pretty good job of molding and evolving into that linebacker position. And that's what I think Arkansas has a lot of right now. They got a lot of youth and guys we haven't thought about in the last couple of seasons that are still evolving and molding and becoming better players. And who knows, maybe a guy like Chavis is the right guy to turn that switch on and get them going, you know, to turn their light on and turn them into, you know, legitimate SEC defensive athletes. But again, I feel like it's going to be Chavis. I think we're in the middle. We're in the middle of a dead period right now, so there's no contact between the head coaches or any coaching or anyone at a university and these high school prospects. When that's over, though, you have to have, in my opinion, and I think you'll agree with me, you've got to have your defensive staff ready to go. If it's going to be Chavis, and I've heard rumors about people who he might be bringing with him, holy cow. Well, you know, if you know who I'm talking about, I don't want to say anything because then hopes get high. If you guys know who I'm talking about, talk about them in the comment section. Maybe I'll reply to some of it. But with who he might be bringing with him, they need to get here now. They need to get signed on, ready to go. A&M just hired their defensive coordinator now, the guy from Notre Dame. LSU just offered the bank to their defensive coordinator. Now's the time to hone in on Chavis, whoever your next defensive coordinator is going to be. Fill that staff up, and then when dead period is over with, hit the ground running, just like what Chad Morris did when he became the head coach at Arkansas, when it became official. The same thing needs to happen on the defensive side of the ball. I know I've heard the rumors that Chavis doesn't like to recruit, but then I'm curious, the people around him, did they do that recruiting at Tennessee, LSU, and Texas A&M? And if so, maybe he's able to bring that same magic to Arkansas. Who knows? Anything's possible. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already, all that wonderful stuff. And until the next video, we'll see ya.